How can we remove plastic from the ocean?
Question. It's a question of a million. I don't know if you know the project that's going on I think they're from Florida, I'm not really sure. But there's the ocean cleanup. There's a group of engineers and biologists and everything that are trying to actually do some boats and some robots to take the plastic from the water. But that's in big scale. What we can do is, for example, we can go and do beach cleanups. Here in Madeira, it's really common to do beach cleanups. In fact, last Sunday there was a beach cleanup, so you can put your name down for it and go and help. And from taking it from the water is really difficult, just if you are in a boat or something and you find litter in the water, try and pick it up every time you can, obviously. But there's small actions that done by by lots of people can do a really big change. So from your side, you can do that. Go to different places where they care for beach cleanups and other things.
How can we get rid of the plastic after we have taken it out of the ocean?
Question 2. That lots of people, especially in the fashion industry, they are trying to do a lot of that. I don't know if you heard, I don't really like to promote things like that, but I don't know if you heard Nike is actually using lots of plastic that was taken from the sea, especially from fishing nets. They're using it to do new sneakers or clothes, so you can actually buy clothes that are made out from plastic. Otherwise, I know there are other things going on, like engineers are trying to use plastic as a fuel for moving cars and boats, which is like the future. So maybe use it as a fuel for moving elements, okay, like cars, boats, motorbikes, etc.
Can we survive with the rest of fresh water on Earth?
How long can we survive? Oh, tough question. It depends. I know now, this year, we've already consumed what the Earth has to give to us every year. We've already consumed what she's going to give us for 2020. So now in 2019, we already consumed what it's given for 2020. So I don't think we can survive a lot. Probably we are all here, we are all gone for when that happens, but not much. I don't really know how to answer specifically that question.
What happens without fresh water?
What happens without fresh water? We all die, basically. No one can live without fresh water. We need it for drinking, organisms need it for hydration, for breathing, in the case of the fish. And without water, there's no life. No water, no life. That's the answer.
Then do organic stations clean water from chemicals that we drop in our water?
Good questions. I'm not an expert in this area. I don't know. I really don't know. I think they are doing quite a good job depending on the area, but as a whole, I'm not sure to what extent they are actually cleaning as much as they say they are.
Which is the most common litter item found in sandy beaches?
Found in sandy beaches are the cigarettes. The last part of the cigarette. Beatas in Portuguese? Yes.
Which group of marine animals is affected the most by noise pollution?
In the presentation, the group that's most affected by noise pollution are marine mammals, the cetaceans particularly, dolphins and whales. They're the two most.
How long does the effect of an oil spill last for?
And years, and we don't know how long can it last. Even after 20-25 years, which we cannot see the oil anymore, it's still doing harm to the environment, so it can last for hundreds of years.
In Greece, we have exercised simulation of earthquake evacuation. Do you ever have such exercises for flash floods?
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the floods. Maybe Nancy can answer there.
Well, it's a good question. We have been going to schools and teaching the new generation what to do. The part of what to do before, during and after a phenomenon like this happens is important, and to us, flash floods are important because they are a reality. So we have to live with them. So basically, in the last few years prior to 2010, that wasn't the reality, but afterwards, the need of teaching and the need of explaining is important and has been growing since then.
How can we reduce floods?
Floods. Well, floods aren't pollution that you can reduce. What we can do, and the problem that we're having is with climate change, these phenomena will happen. They will happen with more intensity, and they will happen more frequently. And that's a reality that we know. We can't state that climate change is fake news. We can't already give that excuse to not act on problems. We know that they exist. We are gathering data to know how they work, what they do, the intensity and the area that they can affect. But we can't reduce the floods. What we can do is take structural measures to reduce the vulnerability of the people that have to live with the problem. There's a formula that says that the risk is equal to the vulnerability of the people who have to live, the elements who have to live with the phenomenon, and the intensity of the same. So if we take the maths out of the equation, what we know is we have people and we have territory and we have an island that is subject to several risks, and we have to live with them. We have to be aware that they exist, and we can't be foolish to not believe that it won't affect us. Because if you are informed, if you are aware of what you have to do, you could be, I don't know, I always remember the story of 2004, the tsunami that happened, that a little girl saved a bunch of people from the beach because she knew that was a tsunami coming. So she knew what to do before it happened, and she saved a few adults that believed in her. And that's awareness. That's saying how where you are can save lives. Yours, your neighbors, your friends, your teachers, if you like them.
Hope so.
So this is the main focus now, is the human part of the equation, is getting people to be aware of what happens.
Is it possible to reverse the climate change or global warming?
That's a really good question. We have to change, our most battling the same thing. We have to change minds. When we see people like Trump that have a responsibility with the country, the most powerful country in the world, saying that he doesn't believe in global warming, that he doesn't believe in climate change, this worries me, because this is a problem that you think, okay, if I do what I have to do in my own house, I'll be taking measures to make sure that my house is environmentally friendly. Okay, that's my house. My neighbor does the exact opposite. Will I stop doing the right thing? No, we won't. Because we can't say that it's not your problem, my problem, it's our problem. We have to act locally so that it affects globally. And if we all give up on doing our own jobs in our own houses, because it starts in our own houses. Like she said, the reuse of materials, the reuse of furniture, the reuse of clothes, everything combined tells us that we can make a statement. We can say to us, it's important to save the environment. For us, dealing with natural risks is a reality. So if we want to be a conscious human being living on this earth, we can't say that climate change is fake news. We can't say that natural risks don't exist. And we can't say, it's not my problem, I didn't do it. I was here, I was born and the houses were already there. So we have to be aware that we have a role in all of this. And our role is as important as our neighbor, as our friend, as our teacher, and we all have to push this. When I was a kid, we were starting to talk about recycling. We are still talking about recycling today, and that shows that the message has to go through all stages, all ages, because there are still people that don't believe in recycling. There are still people who don't believe in climate change. There are people that say that all this that happened was just a lucky, very unlucky day that happened in Madeira. So this is not what we want. We want people that are aware and that battle for their rights. Because this is a right that we all have, to have a clean environment and a safer home. Right?
How do you recover the food damage that quickly?
2010. We took a stroke on that day. We knew that something was going to happen, but we didn't have a radar at the time, so that would tell us how much rain was coming. And we all know the models work with maths and with averages, and what an average, we could go to dinner, you eat the whole chicken, and an average, each one of us had half. So this is what the numbers do. They can perceive our reality. So in that day, I was on vacations. I left on vacations on a Friday. So on Saturday morning, I was being called to the fire department because we knew that it was going to rain. So what happened was the city hall divided the teams. Some with the calls that were coming in of people that had their houses flooded, destroyed. We had the Navy that helped us a lot. Because we were, beyond all of this terror, we were out of communication, so we couldn't call each other. The cell phone wasn't ringing, we didn't have coverage, so what happened was we had to go back in time and reuse the radio. We didn't even knew that we had one working, but it saved us. And the Navy, which went to the areas that weren't accessible by car. So what we did was a very small team, multitasked a lot, worked a lot for 15 days. I stayed out of my house for 15 days, sleeping in a fire headquarters. There was no rest. We went to bed at 1 a.m., went back out at 5 a.m. We had very routines, strictly set up so we could be fast. And the instructions from above was clean as fast as possible, help as fast as possible, and react as fast as possible, because people were in despair. So what we had to do was explain to the people what was happening, because it was important for them to know what was going on, and then making sure that all of the right people were being directed to the right places, so that engineers, architects, social workers, geographers, fire department, everyone in the city hall was working on the clock. There was no rest. So that we could, in 15 days, we managed to put the city back on track. The main functions for government and municipalities were working. And then we deal with the bigger issues that came.
How can we reduce noise or light pollution?
So as I told you, it's one of those two are really difficult for us as a only person to help. Try, for example, noise pollution, try not to use cruise ships, for example, or if you really want to reduce it, maybe don't become a part of buying, for example, if you live in an island like Madeira, don't buy the food that's coming from the continent, buy the food that's growing in the island. This way you're not participating in the whole transporting thing from one place to another, which is probably done by boat. So that way you won't actively be reducing the noise, but you will passively be helping to reduce it. And light pollution, it's even more difficult because light pollution doesn't depend directly on you. You can put your lights out at your house, but you cannot do anything about the really big lights in the cities promoting the new film or the really big lights of a casino. You cannot do much about that. The only thing that you can do, again, try not to promote that using those spaces. And for example, instead of going to buy to H&M, which they have this really enormous advert with lots of lights at night, try and buy from your neighbor's little clothes shop, which probably doesn't use lights at night. So these two problems are really difficult to attack actively, not like litter or chemicals, which are more easy to attack them actively, but you have to do it from another side. You have to not be part of the chain.
Is it possible to ban using CO2 in industry or toxics in farming?
So many of your questions are quite political, actually, like you need policies to be changed, you need governors and people that actually take action in many of the laws to be the ones to change this. Nowadays, I believe that you have a maximum, I'm not really sure, I'm not an expert on this, but I know there's a maximum you can use, but obviously there are irregularities and there are illegal use of it for sure. But I'm sure in the future, when everyone gets their mind around that this is a really big problem we are not actually tackling now, I'm sure that many laws and many policies will become around to reduce this problem. But banning it from the zero, from the beginning, I don't think it is possible now. Lots of people rely on it, so lots of work of people and everything, so that's quite complicated.
I would like to know the teachers teach at school how to survive dangers of nature.
Funny question, how to survive what we have to see. Well, there's only one planet and we live on it with every other species, animals, floral. We need to know where we stand. We need to know what's our role in all of this. For a long time, I think humanity has thought that we rule the world. We could command nature to do as we wanted them to. We control the rivers, we control the seas, we control everything. And with climate change being a problem and natural disasters being an even bigger issue, it shows how small we are. We are really, really small. And when we talk about global warming, when we talk about the intensification of natural disasters, we need to ask the question, how do we survive? We survive by changing our habits. We survive of getting to know more of our planet, more of our own country, island. We have to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And the problem is, I don't think we do. I don't think we take this very seriously. And the future is in your hands, because our generation is trying the best to reunite data and share knowledge. Because before, I had data, another scientist had data, she had data, and no one would share. So it was my knowledge, my information, my truth. Now we're seeing that there is more knowledge sharing, and that's important to know from all different areas, since engineering, since biology, geography, environmental areas. We need to know more. We need to understand what other areas do with the same issues, because climate change is an issue for every single area. It's for biologists. They have their way of reading through the data. For engineering, how to build, how to promote less waste, how to reuse different materials. For architecture, for an endless stream of sciences that can help. So what we need to do is start listening. We need to stop. Look at our own role, what we are doing in our own houses, what we are doing in our schools, what we are doing in our governmental buildings. Are we making the change that the planet needs now? Not in 10 years, not in 100 years. I used to be in university and my teacher would speak about climate change in hundreds of years. I'm not 100, I'm sure. And we are seeing the effects of climate change today. There are warmer temperatures than there were before. There are more intense storms than there were before. The hurricanes are coming further down. So we need to stop and think, are we doing what we can? Are we taking the step and being responsible for a planet that it belongs to all of us? Every single one of us. So are we doing the right thing? Are we taking the right measures? Are we doing everything we can in our reach to help the planet? For our own sake, for our own future, for our own safety, are we taking that measure? Are we believing that we are a problem? Because we are the problem. The problem isn't the volcanoes. The problem isn't the cows. The problem isn't the earthquakes. The problem is the human part of it. The human part of it has to change. Behaviors have to change. Awareness has to be made. We are all to blame. Everything goes wrong. Every single one of us. The one that didn't do anything and the one that didn't try enough. And the one that died trying.